This is Parent Boss Leader. Parent Boss Leader. And here's your host. She's a courageous voice for women, parents, and modern workforce leaders alike. She's a keynote speaker and proud mother of two, the Vice President of Sales and Strategy for ATR International, Laura R. Munson.
Hello and welcome to the show, Parent Boss Leader, a podcast that interviews leaders across industries who are sometimes parents. And we talk about hot leadership topics. We also talk about what it's like being parents as leaders. So if you enjoy what you hear, please like and subscribe. Today's guest, we have Monica Pleasant, HR Director at Medtronic in Orange County. Welcome to the show, Monica.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, really happy to have you. We wanted to have a lively chat about being a dynamic HR professional, kind of some things you've seen, also share a little bit about your background and some passions you have, especially in the HR industry. So let's first things first, what led you to pursue a career in HR, Monica?
Ever since I was a child, I always found human psychology to be very fascinating. And I also noticed about myself that I had a deep passion to care for people. And so when I was in college, I decided in undergrad to study business. And when I was taking a human resources class, the light bulb just went off for me of like, wow, there's a connection here to human psychology and business. And that started to really pique my interest. And from there, as I learned more about how HR can enable businesses to be successful and how they care for the people, it started to make me think, okay, maybe this is the direction I should pursue for my career. And then I don't know if you're familiar, have you heard of Myers-Briggs or MBTI?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so in my senior year of college, I took this course where they had us take that assessment. And there's that career module component to it where it, based on your personality style, it determines, what are some, good career choices for you to pursue. And HR kept coming up top on the list. So that was more validation for me that was the direction that I should pursue. So after graduating college, I started off as a recruiter and loved it. It was a great way to connect with people and as well care for people. And from there, I just continued to take on more responsibility, get more exposure in HR. And that's what led me to where I am today.
Yes, I love that. And where I relate to you so much is even back in college myself as a labor and industrial relations major, really connecting and understanding, marrying the workplace with employees and making it a great place to work, really a passion there. So I love your story and the Myers-Briggs. Oh my gosh, I love that personality test. So what would you say outside of the test really ignited your passion? Because you and I talked before about really helping others advance in their careers, how to position themselves. So how can people move up the corporate ladder? What are some thoughts you have from an HR perspective?
Well, first I'll say that when I was an HR manager years ago at a television network, I was responsible for hiring and recruiting employees, and then also supporting them along their journey. And it was very intrinsically rewarding for me when I would hire someone and then see that they were thriving in their career at the organization, because it helped me realize, wow, I could have this positive impact on somebody's career and their future. So that's what really sparked my passion to, make sure that in my approach, in my role, that I'm always committed to helping employees on their journey and help them along their journey to achieve the career goals that they aspire to achieve. So in terms of, things that people can do, I don't know if you've heard of them. There's different theories out there, but one of the theories that I love and we talk about a lot at Medtronic is called the pie theory. Have you ever heard that before?
I haven't heard PI. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So PI, it's a acronym that stands for performance, image, and exposure.
Oh,
It makes it easier to remember:
yes.
performance, image, and exposure. So a lot of times people think that in order to advance in your career, it's all about, just putting your head down and just get the job done, and get it done well. Yes, that helps to a degree, but you also have to think about, what is your image? How are people perceiving you? And then, are you continuing to learn and grow and give yourself exposure that will give people the trust in you to give you additional responsibilities and take on more in an organization.
Wow.
So it's really important that people think about those three components if they want to advance in their career.
That's helpful because a lot of people, they think that just being a great performer is the only way to get ahead, but it's really combining those other aspects as well. And digging a little deeper into, say, the image side, what type of, I guess, advice or thoughts would you have to give to people on the importance of personal branding?
So in my opinion, personal branding is critical. There's the saying, to get a job, it's all about who you know. And, I agree with that to a certain extent. I mean, it definitely opens up, doors of opportunities for you to be considered.
Yes.
But again, how are you perceived? What is your reputation? Do you have skills that will help you be successful in the role? So it is just as important that you focus on your personal brand and how people perceive you, as well as continuing to learn. I mean, with technology today, it is so critical that we are always relevant and staying on top of what is the new trend. Because as companies are evolving, they need people who have those skill sets to help the company continue to make progress and survive in these ever-changing times. So it's very important that you continue to be open-minded to expose yourself to different things. And I want to say that not always do companies have lots of opportunities for you to gain exposure. So I am also a very big fan of getting exposure outside of the company. You can volunteer at nonprofits. You could serve on boards of directors. And that also will give you additional exposure that you might not get in your current role or at your current company.
Yeah, I think that's excellent advice for people getting involved outside. Also, the consistency in the personal brand, like coming up with the theme of who we are as people and being consistent in that message. And that really does help create the image. Well said.
Absolutely.
I wanted to see, you're not only an active member of the National HR Association, but you're currently the president of the Orange County chapter. That's incredible. So tell me, how has this particular group given you advances in your world? Because you mentioned kind of getting involved with different organizations. How's it helped you?
It has helped me tremendously. I've been a part of the National Human Resources Association, that community in Orange County, for 10 years now. And believe it or not, when I first started volunteering with the organization for different events that they had for HR professionals, I was a very timid HR professional at that time. Like, the thought of talking to a vice president was like, oh my gosh, that's so intimidating, like I was starstruck, but, in that community, there are a lot of people that were at director levels, vice president levels. And so as I networked with them and volunteered with them and built relationships with them, it really helped me kind of realize they're human just like me. It helped me learn how I could relate to them and interact with them, support them, and be a good partner with them. So it really helped me break out of my shell and be more bold and be more courageous when interacting with people at all levels of the organization. And so I will forever be thankful to the National Human Resources Association for giving me that exposure and experience to help me break out of my shell.
Wow. It's important thinking that way too. I know, especially early on in our careers, people can be so intimidated, But the minute you realize that everyone's just human, at the end of the day, doing our best, making our way through life, you see these big vice presidents. They're just as human as you are, as I am. So I think that's good advice even to people starting out in their careers or those who might still be intimidated. Humans are humans. We can connect on that level.
And one of my personality traits also from the MBTI is that I'm considered introverted. And so again, like the thought of networking and, getting myself out there to get to know people and meet people, that was very intimidating to me as well. And so taking the approach of volunteering and helping and using my talents and my skills to better my community, that really helped me with kind of organically networking and building those relationships, because I was just not good at just walking up to somebody and just like, hi, and start the dialogue. But when I was serving on a team of volunteers, I was building relationships, and that really helped me take off with strengthening my community and my network.
Really good advice too. And I think a lot of people can relate to you being nervous at networking events. Great tips. So, one other thing, Monica, as a powerhouse, in a previous role you held, you started two ERG groups, and one for women, one for African American. Can you tell me a little bit about how that impacted the workplace and how it really contributed to personal and professional growth, not only for you, but the individuals involved as well?
Yes. So I had obtained my green belt certification at this company, and the project that I was working on when I was working on it was around turnover. The turnover was particularly high at this point. It was like around the recession timeframe, and as you can imagine, like shortly after that, things were moving, and I was trying to get to the root cause of like, why are people leaving the organization? Why is that stickiness factor not there? People are looking elsewhere versus finding the great opportunities here. And so one of the things that I found was a root cause was people didn't feel like they belonged, or people didn't feel that they were supported, or they didn't feel like they could achieve their career goals at the company. And so, in my research, I was figuring out like, what are ways to increase that stickiness factor for employees to want to stay at a company? And one of the solutions that I found in the research was employee resource groups. Because it builds a sense of community for people. They find like-minded people that they have similar backgrounds with, and they learn to support each other and help each other on their journey. So, there's, that question sometimes on engagement surveys around, do you have a best friend at work? And I used to think like, why would you ask that? Why does that matter? But it really does matter. If somebody feels like they have a colleague or a friend that supports them, that really helps people want to stay. It makes them feel like they belong. So it makes a very big difference. And employee resource groups play a big role in helping people have that sense of belonging and sense of community.
Yeah.
And then, as they are, building relationships with one another, they start to share what their career aspirations are. So then they're supporting each other on achieving their career aspirations.
Yes, that's very cool. So you and I, we have a mutual passion for advancing military folks, making sure that they find great jobs. One statistic I remember reading is how often we need resource groups, even outside of the workplace, for veterans. Often the transition from the military to the corporate world is just this narrow road, and it's hard for individuals to transition into the corporate world. So I know I personally have a passion. You and I have supported similar groups, but right now you have a special place in your heart, and you're very involved with Medtronic's military ERG. So can you tell me a little bit about the challenges, strengths vets bring to the corporate world?
Sure. So there's an organization called American Corporate Partners, and the military ERG, or the veteran, ERG at Medtronic exposed me to this organization. And it allowed me to be a mentor to military professionals who are transitioning to civilian life. And I'm with them for 1 year as a mentor, and we meet on a monthly basis. And, every time I mentor somebody, I honestly feel guilty because I feel like I get so much more out of the experience. I learn so much from them too. But some of the things that I learned is that a lot of them, they're just so unsure about how their future will play out because they've had this lifestyle in the military, and transitioning to civilian life is quite a transition for them, a big change for them. And so they really need to, that encouragement, that support, that guidance on how to navigate in corporate America as they're trying to find their way. And so it is very important that, we, in our hiring, that we, target military professionals to support them on their journey, to help give them the opportunities. I find that, the experiences that they had in the military are extremely transferable to what we need on our teams in corporate America. And all my experiences with the military professionals have been very positive, very respectful, very collaborative, very resourceful. Like, there's so many great skills that they gain from their experience that are extremely valuable to the teams that they join. But we also need to make sure that, they feel supported and they have someone that helps them navigate, and someone that they can confide in and ask questions to should, things come up for them that, they're unsure of. They have someone that they can confide in and talk to along that journey.
Yeah, I think you hit on some major hot topics there as well. I think with the military being considered for corporate jobs, often there can be that gap. So you being the face of a major corporation wanting to bring military in, I think that's inspiring to other companies to listen to as well. The skills are transferable. Often project management, what these folks do in the military is so translatable. And in the military, if anything, they're taught how to be can-do, problem solve. So I love that you're an advocate for that as well.
Yes. And my father, he's a military professional. So he was in the Air Force, and he had a thriving career in IT after leaving the military. So
amazing. I love that.
With my father.
Yes. So let's pivot a bit towards parenting. I want to say congratulations to Medtronic for being listed as one of America's greatest workplaces for parents and families by Newsweek. You, as a mother of fairly young children, undoubtedly facing moments where you're intersected between personal life and work. How do you balance it all? Can you maybe share an instance or two where you've had to manage these situations or advice for parents in similar situations?
Yes. Well, first off, I will say I don't do it all myself. I will be the first to acknowledge that, it's too much for one person to take it on all by themselves. And so I've learned the importance of leveraging my village to help raise my children. The popular saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I find so much truth in that statement, and I have learned to leverage my village, and that has helped me tremendously when it comes to balancing not only my work responsibilities but my family responsibilities. And as you can imagine, schools, for example, they don't always schedule events, for the students at convenient times for working parents. I'll just say that.
Yes.
So there are times where, there's a early school pickup day where, I have to go pick up my daughter from school around lunchtime. And so, in cases like that, it's like, okay, how do I juggle this? Well, first, I'm transparent with my colleagues. Like, if I have any meetings scheduled, letting them know, I'm sorry, but I've got to step away for this time frame because I've got to go pick up my daughter from school. Mm-hmm. And if you need me, I will be back online, in the next hour, and I'm happy to talk and be available for you. But I'll be doing it remotely versus in the office. So I'm very transparent with people about my situation, And thankfully, because we at Medtronic have a culture that really supports working parents, my colleagues are very understanding, or my manager is very understanding about those situations, and see that I'm still able to successfully do my job, even though I've got to take time away for an hour at this point in time to go pick up my daughter from school early. So.
Yes, that's great to hear. You and I both, parents of young children, I know the panic sometimes in me that could set in when I'll realize, oh no, I've got to pick up the kids. It's 2:30. I scheduled another meeting at this time. What am I going to do? It takes a lot of organization. It takes a lot of planning. Being a mom for me has really challenged me to really be a planner in advance. And then also having the village is so important. I think folks who have families, it's great. People who don't have family, there's so much opportunity out there. Even Boys and Girls Club, there's free resources after school for help. It just takes the effort of planning, right?
Yeah, and being resourceful to search and find it as well, or talking to people to find out, how do you do it? Because I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of amazing women leaders who are working parents. And so over the years, even before I had kids, I was paying attention to how are they juggling all of this, And so I was learning from my mentors and leaders that I admired on how they did it. And so I just took all those nuggets of wisdom that I gained from them and made sure to apply it when it was my turn to have the kids. So.
Yes, that is the way to do it. Looking at other women who are making it happen, even early on, they do kind of pave the way and set an example. Monica, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a treat talking to you. You're such a powerhouse in your role, helping so many people. Really, it's great to have you. I think that you've added such value for our listeners. In fact, folks, if you've liked what you've heard, please like and subscribe. And then Monica, for folks to connect with you, would you say LinkedIn's the best way?
Absolutely. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you for your time, Monica.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. It was an honor to be on your podcast.